It almost feels like a little bit of interruption, me coming out here, but what I do have the great pleasure to do is immediately introduce director and cast. Jan-Willem, Thekla, Fettah, please come on down. Up the stairs. Fantastic. Thank you for the film. Beautiful film. I'm keeping an eye on the Twitter feed coming in from all over. Let me just make sure this is live. But before that, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to throw in a little question from myself. The film has been described in reviews as lyrical, poetic, not necessarily the first words that spring to mind for the windsurfing community. Was that part of your idea to look at something you knew well as a surfer, but also as an artist, and take your viewers inside those characters so that they see them more as just these hot guys and girls with wetsuits on?
Not at all. I wanted to make a hot guy and girl movie. No, yeah, I think definitely the idea came from me being a surfer and going to the village where the film is shot, and I've been going there for many years. And I met these young surfers, and of course, I'd seen them on videos, and you see the surfing videos, and they have a certain style. But when I came to the village, I felt a completely different atmosphere, which was in the summer really great, and and there was a festive mood. But then when I would come back in the winter and it'd be empty, and there'd be no tourists whatsoever, and these guys had, really hard lives where they had to fish. There was a completely different atmosphere and a different mood, and there was a real, as my co-writer called it, an absence, absence. Mm-hmm. And I think this emptiness is something we tried to capture with the film.
I think you've done it. Yes. We have a question here coming in from Callie van der Sander of Fettah. Are there similarities between surfing and acting?
Yeah.
You're very good at both.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there is something similar, to be really patient and really concentrate in. I think it's similar like windsurfing, except when you want to take really good waves and big waves, extreme.
Right. But there's an aspect of fear in taking that big wave. Were there things you found that made you afraid when he said action? Was it a different kind of fear? Or?
Yeah, for sure. First you are afraid, but you control yourself. You before action you feel adrenaline somewhere. So you need to be really calm and concentrate.
I think it's a beautiful question for another aspect that. You can prepare everything you can, but once you, in the surfer's symbolism, enter the ocean, you just have to improvise with what the ocean gives you.
Right.
I'm unfortunately not a good surfer.
Well, we have this other question here, which is for you, Thekla, from Anneke Arendsen. Did you know how to surf already, or was it something that you threw yourself into for the movie?
I was thrown into it willingly, but no, I was not a surfer. I did learn a little bit from Fettah, which was a great teacher, as you all can imagine. But can I reveal it? There is a moment when it's not me, when the mast breaks and film. No, but because the ocean really, I have never ever, because it looks so poetic and beautiful and scary on screen. I've never felt or seen something like that. It pulls you by your feet. There's no resistance. It's futile. And I had to learn how to turn myself into a small little ball and just surrender. Do I have to be quicker?
Just roll over, yeah.
Oh, I thought I was too long.
curl up in a little ball.
Yeah,
and roll
it was really. I was really scared, and I'm admiring all the guys on there, and jealous of their passion and their ability to be one with the ocean like that.
Jan-Willem, how long did you prepare with your? Because you have very professional actors and people for whom acting is not their first thing in life. How long did you prepare?
Well, I think we had we wanted to have like a month of rehearsals, which is pretty long, but it was right before we shot the film, and there were so many technical things we also had to prepare that I think we ended up rehearsing for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And what Thekla did, together with Fettah, is she just went into the ocean, and Fettah showed her how to surf. I think that was a great kind of experience, bonding experience also, and yes. And I remember the first time you came out of the waves, I was so surprised because you had this huge smile on your face, both of you. I don't know what happened there.
Wow.
So you did. It's again just talking about cast, I guess, Jan-Willem. You decided to shoot most of your film at sea and on surfboards, and then you thought, oh, I'll act in it as well. How hard did you want to make it for yourself for your second feature?
It's vanity, Martin. Really.
I know that, but they don't.
No, I love acting, and I wasn't so sure if I wanted to act in this film because I could see that it was way different from my first film, which I shot with about 15 people, and this film was massive. We sometimes had 100 people on the set. But then it was my producer, Bero, who told me, no, Jan, come on. You've got to do this. It's your role. There's nobody else who could do Jan. And so I tried, and we decided to do it. Yeah. It wasn't me.
It put another sort of weight on your shoulder, but it works beautifully. Somehow also the big connection with the material.
It connected me to the actors also, and it brought me into the film, and it was very hard to combine these two things. You had the stress of being a director and kind of having to keep everything up in the air, and then you had to let go and act, but I enjoyed it, yeah.
There's a question coming in from, which just slipped down here, from Bero Beyer, the producer, just so let's pretend we know that. Thanks, Bero, for the question. Tell us about Vissal.
Vissal.
That's the answer.
Vissal's the little girl in the film, which by now you would know. She came through a casting process in which we had about 40 kids come in, and she was one of the very last to come in. She lived in the city, very close to the real village. And the moment she came in, really, it's one of those things where you just felt this energy. And she looked at Fettah, and she looked at me with these bright eyes, and then she clapped, and she said, okay, let's begin. And we're like, okay. And then I had her, I had Fettah be a chicken, and I said, okay, Fettah's a chicken now, and he doesn't really want to go back into his little place, his little home, so you have to now get him and drag him into his home. Well, what happened next is his history. She just pushed and tore, and then in the end, she spanked him on the butt, and we just all laughed really hard, and that was it. Yeah.
Just before I go on to, there's another question about it that's not up here, but I'm really curious about, and it's going to take us into something next. Tell us about the music, how you pieced the different kinds of music together.
Yeah, since this was a movie about two cultures meeting, you had the Moroccan culture obviously being there, and then you had the European culture coming over. I wanted to combine these two types of music, sort of traditional Moroccan music and traditional African music, with more traditional European music. And we had the IFFR and the CFWB support us from Belgium, and that's why these are two funds, the Belgian Film Fund.
Various very important film funds that support a lot of your work, Thekla.
Together with the Dutch Film Fund. But we decided to do the music in Belgium, so I looked for a Belgian composer who could do this, and a Belgian composer who had a specific experience with choir music and composing choir music, because I wanted these female voices in the film. And so Pete and I set out already really early, like a year before we shot the film, to think about themes. And Piet Sverts is the Belgian composer who I found. And he has never done film music before. He's a really great and well-known classical composer. And usually they're like, oh, film music, I'm not going to bother with film music. But he really loved it, and he really wanted to do it. And so we had a long process of making this classical choir music together. And then I met in the village, when I went back to Morocco, a brilliant young musician who came to the village and was all of a sudden playing there in the restaurant and singing, and it just blew us all away. You were there, I think, Thekla, when we first heard him. Fettah already knew him. His name is Murat Beliadi. And yeah, I said, okay, this is great. You have to be in the film. Like, would you please work with us on making this beautiful Moroccan music?
Perfect fusion contribution. Shall we let them in on the secret now, the surprise?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you introduce Murad? Murad Belwadi is here. He's just flown in and he's going to play us live a song. Murad, he's waiting over there in the wings. I may have to go and bring him on. No, he's coming. He's coming. This is... Here. Welcome, please. The stage is yours.
Murad, merci pour venir.
Merci à vous d'ailleurs. Merci.
إحساس يا دني يا ليالي ياك اليوم اليوم الليل غدا يجينا الصباح طلع الشمس علي 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 وعلي علي وعلي علي علي علي
So when we say IFFR live, we mean live.
Amazing.
Thanks so much. It was so beautiful. We have more questions coming in. I just need to, let me see. This is good. Fettah, do you personally want to leave Morocco? And that's a question from Peter Mitrich. Do you personally want to leave Morocco?
No.
Moving on to the next question. Why would you?
Yeah, I love Morocco. I love my country, and it's really a good place.
At the same time, did you understand the character's longing to go to this other place, this Europe, because of the connection with the people who came and left him and came and left him? You understood that, of course.
Yeah, I understood that. Yeah, because I know a lot of young people in Morocco. You know, they are like intelligent. They do sport. They do everything. So they are like open for to see new things, and they couldn't take just the passport and just go, you know. And so I understood some people do it for crazy things to come here. They think there is a lot of money to take and things, you know, to do. And some people they love to come here to see other culture, meet other people, and come back at home.
And Thekla, Jan-Willem, the characters you played were sort of the embodiment of golden Europe. How did you approach that? I know that you were just playing your characters, but was you aware that there was some sort of...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Thekla is kind of the archetypical, almost...
You mean Alexandra, right?
Sorry, yes. Alexandra is the archetypical beautiful European blonde woman, and I think that was part of the whole image that we wanted to create, is almost like a dream coming to this village, a little bit more than reality. And that's also, I think, why it works so well with you, Thekla, because you were already quite the star, and so it was the star coming into the village, which was one of the few roles where I really wanted to work with an experienced and a famous actor.
Right. And
Well, for me, because there's not so much dialogue explaining her or their relationship or her inner world. But we really worked on, and I really wanted to know exactly what I'm going through at what moment or what line. And so the whole world behind it is that for her, it's actually the other way around. Like a lot of European people go to exotic or very different places than their home, and then they sort of want to start a bed and breakfast and change their whole life. But I'm just saying that as a joke. But for me, it's like she comes to this village, and it's such a change to her own world where they have lost connection very much. I mean, there's very small moments that you can feel that, I think. They've lost connection, and they've lost connection with the earth and life and nature and the simpleness. What for Fettah is something that he wants to escape. It's something that brings her back a little bit to herself. So I really like that contrary motion in that sense.
Absolutely. You have that. And
it was quite similar for me, as Thekla, then in this case, arriving in that village. The first 2 days I was like, wow, what is this? And I did a film in Morocco before, and it was also not in the beautiful Fez. It was in like war-looking places. And then after 2 days, I completely fell in love with the village.
As I think we kind of did. I want to go there. It's like
this is the thing.
Can I keep the wetsuit?
But that's the thing. People really like for us, we want to go there, and they see us as a sort of paradise.
Right,
and there's this strange duality in it.
I think, that's a global thing. There's a question here from Kino Nawa Horizonti. One of the critics said your movie, especially images of natural phenomena, recalls an aesthetic of Terrence Malick. What were some of your inspirations, Jan-Willem?
I think I should say Terrence Malick.
Okay.
After I made my first movie, and I took the script of this film to the Binger Film Lab. You were there, I remember that. And somebody at Binger told me, you should take a look at Terrence Malick's films, who I'd never seen. And I remember seeing The Thin Red Line and being completely blown away.
Right.
You know, I felt such a connection with his work. And I think part of his way of working, we tried to replicate a little bit, because I was really interested in seeing how that would work.
What was that? What way of working?
That was, well, first of all, visually, Jasper and I wanted to work really freely and be able to shoot in any direction, so we don't have any, all the sets are three-dimensional, everything is real. And we would often, Jasper would point the camera often at somebody that wasn't acting or that, you know, or another direction, which would drive the sound people crazy because they'd have to all of a sudden direct the boom in a different direction. But this kind of free way of working, and then we shot a lot of it in the evening, in the golden hours, and in the early morning when the light was nice. And I think we improvised a lot too. This movie was much more improvised than my first film.
Or
and
than
so
you
with
expected.
Thekla and IFFR, we would always search for the best things on the set.
That kind of ties to one question that's coming from Yuri Panyan from Ljubljana. How did you shoot the scene in Casablanca with all the people on the beach watching? So it sort of ties into what you were just saying.
Yeah, that was the very first shooting day, and we did that almost a month before we shot the rest of the film because we needed to do it in summer when we had all these people out on the beach still. And we'd seen it. I'd seen this phenomenon with this beautiful light coming from behind and all these people being on the beach with Bero, my producer, when we went scouting for locations, and we were both like, wow, we want this in the film. And so we went there, and it was it was our very first shooting day, and we just had Fettah walk in the water with the surfboard and then walk through Casablanca.
So guerrilla style, basically.
Guerrilla style with a 30-people crew, which for me was huge. The Moroccans said, oh, we've never worked with such a small crew. And I was like, okay.
It's guerrilla in Moroccan terms. Our clock is ticking, but this is a question that I think I'll ask each of you to respond to. It's from Alessandro Venier and from Italy. Sound a beautiful Italian question. Where's it gone? There it is. Is there a connection between love and the ocean? And that can be just a personal question. As our time together ticks away.
The connection
between love and the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You're in the ocean all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of connection, yeah.
Yeah, I even intuitively, I would say yes immediately. I think what we see a lot here, also the connection between a mother and the ocean. And I think a mother is love as well. And yeah, and again, the waves and the tides, I like that image a lot for love as well.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, the answer is definitely yes. I mean, I think when I'm on the ocean, and this is partly why I made this film, I lose myself. I'm completely in the moment. And when you're surfing, windsurfing, I think this is something a lot of windsurfers recognize, is that you are losing yourself. If you're in love, it's exactly the same thing. So.
Falling into the ocean, falling into love. Our time is up. But thank you for a beautiful film. Thank you for this great opportunity for not just us here, but people across Europe. Thank you for being our first IFFR Live. And thank you, audiences across Europe and here in the Schraubroek of Rotterdam. Thank you so much. That was IFFR Live #1.